Joining me is the royal editor of the London Evening Standard. Very nice to have you this evening. The author of Our King, Robert Jobson, and journalist and author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens. Look, thank you both very much for joining us on this discussion. We laid out the claims there about Harry and about his US citizenship. It just is a story that won't go away. Should he be treated differently from any other citizen?
Absolutely not. I mean, I recently applied for an I visa to go and do some work in America. They're covering a royal tour. They were very specific on the form, and you had to fill it out. And if you didn't fill it out correctly, I dare say it would have been thrown back in my face. He should be treated. He wants to be a citizen of America. He's made that clear. He's married to an American citizen, and if you don't fill the forms out correctly, you should be in hot water. And I think that's fair.
You think it's fair, but do you think it's, and we keep mentioning this at the moment, a politicised issue? I'm going to come across to Ernest on this, Ernest, because, we've seen a lot of politicised, as people claimed, issues in the last 24 hours stateside. But on this, what do you make of the claim that Harry is being used as something of a political pawn here? I'm just going to give the context to our viewers because this request for his documents to be released by the Heritage Foundation, as it's called, a conservative think tank. Harry, of course, has quite close Democrat connections. So is he being used as a pawn?
Absolutely. I think that there's a lot of unnecessary presumption being driven by conservatives over there in the UK. And I think that, honestly, they're being disrespectful to our customs. You know, who's to say that he did not go through the process correctly? Why is there so many assumptions based on things that are written in his book? I just think that is really a bunch of people politicizing a bunch ado about nothing. You know, Prince Harry does not pose a threat to the United States. I don't think anyone would assume that he shouldn't be able to enter based on what is he doing? He's not a terrorist. He doesn't pose any criminal record that would suggest that he would be an endangerment in America. So I just think the entire conversation is just really a bunch of rubbish, to be honest.
Well, I don't want to oversimplify it, Ernest, but I do get the impression that quite a lot of Americans do enjoy the British royal family. Is it not nice, to some extent, to have Prince Harry, even if he's not quite in the royal family anymore, over there in the States?
You know, absolutely. I think that he has really embraced American culture. He is very modern. He's progressive. And he really represents the kind of spirit that a lot of particularly millennials and Gen Zers look for in a public figure such as him. So I think he fits in quite well, and he has fit in quite well. I mean, you have big Hollywood moguls like Tyler Perry let him stay at his mansion. You know, he's one of us in a certain sense.
Robert, you want to respond on that?
Well, I hear what Ernest is saying, but I think that what's important here is transparency, and it's not a right-wing organisation trying to talk about these things. He's openly said he's taking Class A drugs and a number of all these drugs. He may well have said that I've done it in the past with his form, but I'm not doing it now. And if that's the case, that's fine. Look, we've got the President of the United States who is in court at the moment for not so much all the sort of awful things that have been going on in his life, but for actually falsifying documents, and he's having an answer to it. So if there's nothing to hide, just show the document. We'll say thanks a lot.
I've got to say, it's quite a sort of compelling argument when you line it up against Trump, but then US officials, apparently, they can decide to waive any kind of discrepancy on the form.
Well, I respect the US officials. I mean, if the US officials are saying there is not a case to answer here, then you've got to respect them. The same as if an American a famous American who was applying for citizenship in the United Kingdom admitted to taking drugs and then got accepted, then we'd have to respect the British government too.
Look, I just want to ask you about some comments that we had today from Sarah Ferguson. Quite an interesting character, of course, in the great royal scheme of things. But when we talk about keeping one foot in and one foot out of the royal family, she said in an interview, you can't really do that. And she obviously has made her position very clear. And she's sort of carved it out quite cleverly, I think, in terms of trying to be a normal person. She's obviously kept her title. She's still got a voice. It seems to be the type of thing that you would think Meghan and Harry would want to go for, but they haven't ploughed that path.
Well, I mean, I know Sarah. The reality is Sarah's a very sensible person. The reality is, too, is that she never got remarried, and that's why she kept the title Duchess of York. No other reason. If she'd gotten remarried, she'd been Sarah, whoever. As for 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I think that's true. I don't think you can be half in. The Queen made that quite clear. But actually, it's quite interesting what's happened with Sarah. She was invited to Christmas with the royals, with their two daughters, by the King and Queen. And Sandringham, along with Andrew, was there too, because it was a private family gathering. My feeling on all these things is that you can't have it both ways. And what I do find odd about Harry and Meghan, although I wish them well, and I really think that it's great what he wants, the life he has. I've known him since he was a little boy. I covered the story for 33 years. What I would say is, in the spirit of America, there's no need to have the Duke and Duchess of Sussex title. You just be Mr. and Mrs. Mountbatten Windsor. And there's no need to call your kids Prince and Princess, because, if you're an American, that's sort of going against 1776, isn't it?
That's a really interesting point, Ernest, and we did ask you your opinion on having the royals over there, but as Robert laid out, is it within the spirit of America? Shouldn't they be behaving like ordinary citizens? What's your thought?
I mean, they're not ordinary citizens. So that's just intellectually dishonest to try to hold them to a standard that neither the society to which they're living in, nor the public, nor any of you all on this set would actually do. That's just intellectually dishonest, and it's actually, quite frankly, impossible. So we're not going to act as though all of a sudden they can just shed a title, and so with the publicity all of it will die. It will not die. They are high-profile individuals. At the end of the day, the United States government thought that the visa was fine. I think all of this interrogation is a waste of time. I think that they're quite fine where they are. And I think, it's so many more important things going on in the world than badgering about a visa. Like, come on, he's fine. He's okay. I don't think anyone in this country thinks he's an endangerment. And it happens in other countries as well. And I just think that to continue to belabor this argument, he said drugs 12 times. Okay. When? It doesn't have anything to do with now. They're just battering him. Get over it. Move on.
You could ask us to get over it, but it's not going
the form,
away.
Isn't it? Surely,
Well, there is the point, as Robert's making, of the legal documents here. I sort of see Ernest's point as well, of the belabouring to death as well. Now, Meghan Markle under increased scrutiny because she's going to receive an award at this event in New York next month, given to her by a prominent feminist who is also a good friend of hers, as it transpires. And her critics asking, is she deserving of that award? Now, when I look at sort of the work that she's done and she's carried out, she has spoken out about women. She has done that type of thing, but her critics saying, look, she doesn't really do that much.
Well, I mean, on this one, I feel that she does deserve it. Prior to marrying Prince Harry, she was out there on this area. She's been, ever since she was a little girl, she's been speaking out about feminism, writing letters about adverts that go wrong. So, yeah, I don't know. What I would say is, as a person that runs a charity, dinner myself, you've always got to sell the tickets.
Yeah.
And, Meghan Markle's a famous person. They're also going to get a royal thrown in because Harry will turn up. And these $15,000 ticket tables will sell because she's there. And that's a good thing, because if it empowers women and it empowers their voice, that has to be a good thing.
That was my thought, Robert, exactly when I saw it. $1,500 a ticket, 15,000 for the table. Yeah. And of course, putting Meghan Markle on the ticket does mean that they get to sell it. However, when it comes to Meghan Markle and how she is discussed in the United States, Ernest, I'll come to you on this because Robert brought up the point of kindness early. He's known the couple for a very long time. Piers Morgan's not in the seat tonight. He's been kind enough to give me the seat for a few days whilst he's on holiday. Yeah. I might take a slightly different view of things. I'm also a woman of around Meghan's age, not too far off. But when it comes to the way that she is criticised, that she is looked at for this award that she's going to be receiving next month, do you think she's deserving this award? Do you think somebody else who's done more should be getting it?
Look, I think she deserves the award. To be honest, awards within themselves from organizations are always, strategic and political in their own right. There is a level of merit. But at the end of the day, I think anyone who is humble, that understands the system, understands that in certain cases, does the means justify it? The reason why they're having the awards is to support a cause. It's a charity effort. And so the reason why people are going there is really to support the mission. And so I think in deciding this, as someone who's I'm a president of a journalism organization in Philadelphia. And, when we pick honorees, we pick people that, we do believe deserve recognition, but we also think about the impact. And so what you can't deny is that Meghan Markle has impact. And she's going to have the type of impact that's going to fill those seats and raise a lot of money for a cause that everyone should be behind. So I think,
You're going to buy a
you know,
table.
her
You're going to buy a table.
it's not about her. I mean, I personally will support anyone who wants to buy a table. And I think that if she
I'll have a seat on it, Ernest. I'll come. You buy the table, I'll buy one ticket.
I'm not buying $50,000. I'm not going to get a $50,000 table, but I might get a ticket with you. It's a $1,500 a piece. How about that?
Gentlemen, I think we've had a slightly different nature of debate this evening than normal. I hope Piers' viewers aren't disappointed that we've kind of found some reconciliation on buying a table to Meghan Markle's charity event next month.
No, neither of us said we would.
OK, you didn't say you would.
We're journalists. We like to go free.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, we'll cover it.
It's been fantastic having you both. Thanks so much for your insights.